If you've been learning Spanish but have been struggling to read books in Spanish, trust me, I've been there before. Bienvenidos a todos a mi canal Spanish Blueprints. My name is Joshua, and in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 8 useful tips for reading books in Spanish. Patience is super important. We always need to keep this in mind when we start to read a new book in Spanish. Because if I pick up this book and I start reading just 10 pages or 20 pages, and then I say to myself, hey, I can't understand 100% of what's going on in this story, that's a little bit unrealistic, right? Books are quite complex and they have a ton of details on dates, names of characters, locations like cities, states, and countries. So you can't just expect that you're gonna know everything about a book in the first 10 to 20 pages. To put this in perspective, let's think about movies and TV shows, because a similar thing happens. Let's say that you just started watching a new series on Netflix and it has 5 seasons and about 10 episodes each. But you are only on the first season and you've only watched 3 episodes. I am sure many of us have had the experience where it took maybe 1 season or 2 seasons to actually start to get an idea of what was going on in that particular series. Just like a writer of a script of a movie, a writer of a book can also make it very challenging to understand that book or the movie just because that is their style. Additionally, I want you to be patient with how you feel about the book, because I have made the mistake plenty of times where I stopped reading a book because I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the story when I was only 50 pages in. And then other times I made sure I pushed myself to read past that 50-page mark, and I actually started to enjoy the book more and more. Learn the letters of the Spanish alphabet, because the combination of sound and text, like words and phrases, is extremely powerful. For example, you could just memorize the definition of a particular word in Spanish, but you do not know how to pronounce it. So you could be reading this book here and you could comprehend some of the words that you are seeing on the page, but if you were to read it aloud, it would not make any sense because you would just be guessing how that word sounds. But after practicing the Spanish alphabet, you know how the letters sound, then you can actually start to read it aloud. Like, Daniel, ven aquí, me dice Julia desde la puerta de la casa. So now you can practice the amazing skill of reading aloud. And this is going to help you develop your pronunciation skills, and it's going to help with memorizing vocabulary that you're reading. There's just something about reading words on a page, but out loud and not just in your head, that make words stick a lot easier. If one of your goals is to sound like someone from Argentina or from Spain or from Mexico, you can do that as well. Be expressive. This is going to make the reading experience more exciting. Now, this can be a combination of things like your hand gestures, your facial expressions, the tone of your voice, the rhythm in which you are reading, and the particular Spanish accent that you are using. ¿Por qué camino vamos? ¿El de la izquierda o el de la derecha? Yo prefiero el camino de la izquierda. Pues yo prefiero el camino de la derecha. So have fun with it, make it silly, and make it your own. This can really help you to imitate real-life interactions that you would have. I was just reading a few lines out of Short Stories in Spanish for Beginners, and if you want to learn more about the book, you can find the link in the description box of this video. Context clues. I use context clues while I'm reading to understand vocabulary that I come across that I do not understand. So that can be words at the beginning of this unfamiliar word or words right after that I will try to read to draw out the meaning of this unfamiliar word. And you don't have to use the words that are surrounding the one that you don't know, but you can also use the whole paragraph to get more meaning. Please stay consistent when you are reading a book in Spanish, because I can't tell you how many times when I have read a book before that I close it to watch a YouTube video, or I go on my phone for 5 minutes and I start texting people, I go on Instagram, so on and so forth. This can make remembering what you just read extremely difficult because you keep breaking your focus and you keep going back and forth, so you're not fully concentrated on what you're reading. I know it can be difficult just to sit down and get to those pages that you want, because I've done all those things plus getting up to eat food. Additionally, what's going to help you stay consistent is reading every single day if you have a goal of reading just one book. This will develop a really good habit for you, and it's going to make it easier to sit down and get to those pages that you want. I highly encourage you to take breaks when you're reading. So if you are 10 pages in or 20 pages into your reading session and your head starts to get really tight, you start losing your focus, you start to also decrease in your comprehension of what you're reading, that may be a signal that you should take a break. This has happened to me plenty of times because I used to have a very terrible habit of cramming. So instead of taking breaks, I would push forward more and I would try to just cram as much information in my brain as possible. Reading a book twice. Now, I used to be extremely against this strategy because I had so much pride where I used to think that if I did not understand or have full comprehension of a book I just read in Spanish, then that basically meant that I was a failure. I've completely changed my mentality on this because I truly understand the importance of repetition when you are learning a new language. As well, it is extremely motivating if you come back to a book after a year or after 2 years and seeing how much progress that you have made because you have increased the amount of vocabulary that you know. I just started using a book review heavily to be able to digest all the information that a book in Spanish can have. And this is a very easy guide that you can follow for any book that you're reading. I created a video that explains more in depth how to create a book review, and it is called How to Read and Comprehend Books in Spanish. And you can find the link to this video in the description box. Muchas gracias por ver este video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Also, in the comment section below, please let me know which of these tips do you like the most. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.